Up first, Downers Grove State Senator John Curran, sponsor of a Republican package of criminal justice reform proposals. Let's get fired up. They're down to the final few weeks at the state capitol in Springfield. There's a big battle over criminal justice reform pending there. Joining us now is a Republican state senator from Downers Grove, John Curran, 19 years as a former assistant state's attorney and felony prosecutor. John, what's happening? You made a series of proposals that we've talked about. Are they being debated on the floor?
Mike, so no, all the proposals we have put forward on the Republican side have not been released to committee. Specifically, we had comprehensive proposals on carjacking and trying to combat that in particular manners, and none of those have come forward. We do have potential progress on another topic, which is the organized retail theft.
All right. Now, there has been, there's a promise over on the House side from Speaker Welch and other Democratic reps that there are going to be specific Democratic proposals on carjacking and organized retail theft. What are you hearing about that? You said you've heard that the retail merchants are happy so far with what's going on. The negotiations.
Yeah, the Retail Merchants Association has done they've been working very diligently on a comprehensive organized retail theft package that's going to have substantial, accountability measures in it and really empower law enforcement to combat this organized corrupt practice that is plaguing us throughout the city and the suburbs. And I'm hopeful, it's promising that we may actually see something next week. And it's going to be something substantial that should garner bipartisan support.
So what specifically do you want to see? I've had some Democrats on here who also want to see a much tougher effort by the state and by local prosecutors to pursue these organized gangs. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. Breaking into retailers and looting them sort of on a ad hoc basis. What do you want to see?
Well, I mean, we want to see a comprehensive approach that is going to, give law enforcement the tools to actually investigate and hold accountable these very sophisticated operations. I mean, this is not a mom and pop type operation. I mean, these are sophisticated criminal organizations employing these retail theft tactics. And at the same time, penalty enhancements and accountability measures that are going to take them off the streets, take them out of operation for a very long time. So, and right now, we seem to be trending in that direction.
All right. Now, one thing that you and other Republicans and a few Democrats have asked for is either to extend next year's deadline for ending cash bail or even to abolish that. Democrats have told me on this program, not debatable, they're not going to do it.
Mike, at a minimum, we need to extend that deadline. That law is not in a place that it can actually go into effect January 1st without substantially harming and endangering the public. As it sits right now, those portions of that law that was passed last year conflict with itself. It's got, it was hastily drafted. Those drafting errors are still there. And the law enforcement community is not yet equipped to make that transition due to the poor drafting and the rushed manner in which that law was passed in the middle of the night. So,
can you give me an example of that? Can you give viewers an example of what you're talking about?
So detention hearings, what's the standard? So an initial detention hearing, risk to the general public is a standard in which a judge can hold someone in custody. However, every subsequent detention hearing, and it's at every court appearance, a detention hearing can be brought forward. That community at large, risk to the community at large standard is not there. The standards change. They don't have consistency throughout that statute, and that's going to be a real problem, and it's something that must be addressed.
So your concern is that accused murderers, even those who have previous violent convictions, could end up back on the street in short order.
Correct, because the standard is going to narrow from a risk to the general public to if you don't have one specific identifiable person that is at risk by this person's release, that the prosecutor can bring that name, that individual forward, the accused is going to be released. That is not a standard anywhere else in the country, and it's not something that we can go forward with.
All right. Tell me about ethics. You sit on the Ethics Committee, Senator Curran. In the wake of the 22-count indictment of former Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan, should there be additional ethics proposals? Governor Pritzker, out on the campaign trail and TV ads, is bragging that he has been a strong supporter of ethics legislation and has signed into law tough new standards.
Mike, we took a good first step last year with a comprehensive proposal, especially on disclosures, but it was couched as a first step. There's been no second step this year. This has been a colossal failure of the General Assembly to not continue that work, as nothing has come forward on ethics this year. I have two proposals specifically that would help root out public corruption, and that is one, expanding the statewide grand jury to public corruption crimes. The Attorney General currently convenes a statewide grand jury for specific crimes. The Attorney General is in favor of expanding this to public corruption. That will get him in the ballgame in investigating public corruption throughout this state. And secondly, we need to expand state RICO into the area of public corruption. We need to equip our local law enforcement officials with the same tools the federal government has in investigating crimes of public corruption.
All right, sir, can I stop you for just a second? Because people, you know, that the word you use there is that RICO. That's not a guy's name. That's law enforcement jargon for racketeering conspiracy.
Correct, Mike. Yes, and those are the tools that the federal government uses so effectively to investigate.
Some of the categories of violent crime in DuPage are down. We have the Chicago police talking about a small decrease in killings in the city of Chicago. Nonetheless, the level of violence remains far higher than it was just a couple years ago. Are you satisfied with the progress?
No, like the brazenness of of the criminal acts that are being conducted throughout the suburbs, the area I represent, is increasing. And so it's great that there are some categories, and we know law enforcement is doing the best they can, but we as policymakers can equip them to be more effective in combating crime, and that we must take up in these last 2 weeks.
All right. State Senator John Curran from Downers Grove, whose district includes the town where his law office is in Oak Brook, and that Oak Brook shopping mall there. Thank you very much for joining us. I know you're a busy guy down in the state capitol. We appreciate your time.
Mike, thank you.
We'll be right back after this quick break.